Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, today we're digging into something really critical for your garden's future success. We're going deep on what you do after the main harvest. You know, those steps that maybe get overlooked sometimes, but they're essential for getting your garden ready for that next big, thriving phase. Yeah, we're talking post-harvest care, and maybe most importantly, the huge role healthy soil plays in making sure everything flourishes next spring, and honestly, for years after that. So, for this deep dive, we've been looking at some great gardening resources. We've got insights from Mario's Super Soil podcast, Thriving Gardens Start with Great Soil. That's with Chris and Jessica. And we've also pulled some key bits from an episode called Post Harvest Garden Care Preparing for Spring. That one was hosted by Alex and Sarah, aired back on September 2025. Some really practical stuff in there.
Absolutely. And our goal today really is to just pull out the most important, actionable nuggets for you from these sources. We want you to walk away with a clear idea of, how to prep your garden beds after you've picked the last tomato or zucchini, making sure it's vital, productive, ready for next spring. This whole period, it's not really an ending, is it? It's more like a crucial transition, setting the stage for amazing growth later on. We're going to uncover some of why that work you do now, often unseen under the soil, is really the secret sauce for a great garden.
Totally agree. This deep dive should give you a bit of a shortcut, help you get really well informed on prepping for that next flourish, and maybe some surprising facts about what's happening beneath your feet. So let's start with this idea, right? That the end of the harvest isn't, well, it isn't really the end. Alex and Sarah on this show, they really emphasized it's time to get your garden ready for the next phase. What's the big deal about thinking of it that way? Why is that shift so significant?
Well, that phrase, the next phase, it's really insightful because it
Oh.
changes how you see the whole gardening year, doesn't it? It acknowledges the garden as this continuous living thing, not just separate seasons that start and stop.
Right.
So when Alex and Sarah talk about preparing for spring, it's not just a nice idea, it's almost a biological necessity for the garden's health. What you do right after harvest directly impacts how easy things are next season, how resilient your plants are, how much you actually yield. If you neglect this next phase, you could be looking at, well, more pests, more diseases, soil that's just depleted when spring rolls around. It's really an investment, building a strong foundation instead of just, putting out fires later.
Oh, I can definitely relate to putting out fires. I remember one year I left some old squash vines thinking they'd just break down. Bad idea. Let's just say the cucumber beetles had a field day the next spring. So, okay, putting this next phase idea into practice, our sources mention some key things to do. What's the very first step right after the main harvest is done?
The first thing, and maybe the most obvious but really important, is a good cleanup. Both sources really stress removing that old plant material. Anyone who's dealt with, say, powdery mildew or tomato blight or slugs, you know how those problems can stick around. So cleaning up isn't just about making it look tidy. You're literally getting rid of the places where diseases and pests hide out over winter.
Right. So it's not just about looks. What are the deeper reasons, the actual benefits of clearing out those dead plants?
Yeah, exactly. It's multi-layered. First, disease prevention.
Yeah.
Huge. Many common plant diseases, fungal spores, blights, they survive the winter in that dead plant stuff. Leftover leaves, stems, even fallen fruit. By removing it, you're basically breaking that cycle, stopping them from just waiting there to infect your new plants next year.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Breaking the cycle.
And second, pest management. Old debris is like a five-star hotel for pests. Think squash bugs, earwigs, slug eggs. They love that stuff for winter shelter. Clear it out, and you disrupt their cozy winter plans. It significantly cuts down on the populations that emerge hungry in the spring. So you're creating a much healthier environment, giving next year's plants a much cleaner start. It's really proactive defense.
That's a pretty compelling reason to grab the rake. Okay, so once the garden's tidy, clear of old plants, what's the next big routine the sources point to? They talk about adding organic matter back into the soil. This sounds like where that magic beneath the surface really starts happening.
It absolutely is. Adding organic matter post-harvest
Yeah.
is probably one of the single best things you can do for your garden. It's where the real soil health magic kicks in. And it's not just one benefit. It's like a whole cascade of improvements. It transforms your soil from just dirt
Yeah.
into this living, breathing ecosystem.
Okay, let's dig into that. What exactly does adding organic matter do, especially right after harvest?
Well, for starters, it massively improves soil structure. This is fundamental. Think about heavy clay soil. It's like tiny flat plates all packed together, right? Dense, poor drainage. Organic matter gets in between those plates, courses them into clumps, creates air spaces. water gets in easier.
Ah, okay. So it loosens up clay. What about sandy soil?
Right, sandy soil is the opposite problem. Big particles, water, and nutrients just wash right through. Organic matter acts like a glue, kind of binding those particles together. It helps the sand hold on to moisture and nutrients much, much better. So you end up with that perfect crumbly texture. Good drainage, but holds water too. And speaking of water, organic matter acts like a sponge, seriously increases water retention, which means less watering for you. Good for the plants, good for your water bill.
Less watering is always good.
Definitely. And then there are the nutrients. Organic matter is like a slow-release fertilizer bank. As microorganisms break it down, they slowly release nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, all those micronutrients plants need. It's a steady, sustainable feeding process. Much better than, dumping on chemical fertilizers for a quick hit. And that brings us to maybe the coolest part, feeding the soil life. Organic matter supports this incredible, bustling community of beneficial microbes. Bacteria, fungi, it's wild, but a single teaspoon of healthy soil can have billions of microorganisms, more than people on Earth.
Billions. Wow.
Yeah, and they're not just hanging out. They form these complex networks. Like mycorrhizal fungi, they partner with plant roots, extending them, sometimes by thousands of times. It lets plants find nutrients and water way more effectively. This whole hidden world is the real engine of your garden. And organic matter, that's their food, their habitat. You're not just feeding plants. You're feeding this entire ecosystem.
Okay, wow. It really sounds like all roads lead back to the soil, which connects directly to what Chris and Jessica keep saying on Mario's Super Soil podcast, right? Their big message. Thriving gardens start with great soil, and great gardens start with great soil. What makes that statement so foundational?
It really is the absolute bedrock of good gardening. When we say great soil, we're not just talking about dirt. We mean a living system. It's got the right mix of minerals, air, water, and crucially, all that organic matter and the life it supports. That kind of environment lets plants easily get nutrients, grow strong roots, and even fight off diseases and stress better. Without that healthy, living soil, well, plants just struggle. Doesn't matter how much you water or fertilize, the soil is the engine. It's the ultimate long-term investment in your garden's success.
Right, and thinking about achieving that great soil, the post-harvest garden care source, Alex and Sarah's episode, they specifically mention a product. They put special emphasis on using Mario Super Soil for a healthy spring garden. What do you make of that kind of specific recommendation? What does that tell us?
Yeah, that specific mention is interesting. It points to a trend, I think. Gardeners are definitely looking for more formulated soil amendments. The implication seems to be that while general organic matter, like your own compost, is fantastic and fundamental, maybe a product like Mario's Super Soil is designed for a quicker, perhaps more balanced boost. It might have specific microbes added or a targeted nutrient profile, maybe different types of compost blended together. It offers convenience, maybe a faster way to improve a bed.
So like a shortcut to good soil.
Sort of, yeah. Or maybe a jump start. It does make you think, though, about the trade-offs. When do you really need a specialized product versus building soil over time with compost and other organic stuff you might already have?
Yeah.
It definitely speaks to that desire for, optimized results. But the core idea, building living, healthy soil, that stays the same, whichever route you take.
That makes sense. Using the right tool for the situation. Now, Chris, on the Super Soil podcast, he talks about guiding listeners through the latest gardening trends. If we step back and look at this focus on post-harvest care and really building soil health, how does that fit into the bigger picture, these broader trends in gardening?
Oh, it fits perfectly. This focus on post-harvest and soil health isn't just some niche technique. It's absolutely central to the biggest, most positive trends in gardening today. Sustainability, working with nature, modern gardening, the stuff that really works long-term. It's increasingly about building those resilient soil ecosystems, right? Reducing the need for constant intervention, especially synthetic stuff. Post-harvest care, the cleanup, adding organic matter, thinking about microbes. It's a prime example of that holistic approach. You're giving back what the season took out. You're preventing future problems instead of just reacting. You're nurturing a whole living system. This regenerative mindset, seeing the garden as interconnected, where soil health is paramount. That's probably the most important trend out there. It's about cultivating life, really, not just growing plants.
So, thinking about all this, what does it mean for you, the person listening right now? It means these practices, the cleaning up, the adding compost, focusing on the soil, they aren't just end-of-season chores. Not really. They're a really powerful investment in your garden's future. What you do now, in these quieter weeks after harvest, paying attention to that unseen world down there, that's what really sets the stage for how vibrant, how healthy, how abundant your garden will be next spring and beyond. It's where the magic happens, you could say. So, just to recap our deep dive today, we've really seen how vital that post harvest care is, from the practical steps like clearing out old plants to stop pests and diseases, to the truly fundamental work of adding organic matter back to the soil, feeding the soil life, improving structure, holding water. And all of this just hammers home that core truth we heard from our sources. Great gardens really do start with great soil. These steps, they're your direct path to an amazing spring.
And maybe this leaves you with a question to ponder. If the care you give your garden right after harvest has such a direct impact on its health and abundance next spring, how might that change the way you look at the quote-unquote end of the season? How does it change your role in the garden's ongoing living cycle? It's kind of an invitation, isn't it? To see beyond just this season and connect with the continuous life pulsing away in your soil.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope you take these ideas out into your own garden. Go get your hands dirty, build that soil, and set yourself up for an incredible next season. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.